Hey guys, it's Sheena, the Sports Report Girl, here for your Pro Football Week in Review. So week 2 in the NFL was a bit like General Hospital, both because of all the injuries to key players and the soap opera-like storylines happening in Tennessee and Oakland. The big news of the week centered around Vince Young and his emotional meltdown after last week's victory over the Jaguars. During the game, he was booed by fans for his poor performance, then responded by spraining his knee. After the game, Young's mother told the media that her son was hurting both inside and out. Thanks, Mom. Then on Monday, Young's therapist informed the Titans that Vince had left home in a distraught state with a gun and no telephone. Unable to reach his young quarterback, Jeff Fisher prudently called the police. Turns out the whole thing was just one big misunderstanding. Vince had in fact left home without his cell phone, but the gun was already in his car. Like, that's really okay. Also, Young's therapist wasn't actually his therapist, but one of several that works with the team. And it wasn't even the therapist that sounded the initial warning call, but Young's personal marketing manager, whatever that's supposed to mean. Needless to say, after all the drama, Kerry Collins is the starting quarterback of the Titans for the foreseeable future. The other drama unfolding over the weekend was a flare-up from earlier in the spring and summer. Embattled head coach Lane Kiffin and crotchety old-timer Al Davis have been going at it since last spring when Davis insisted Kiffin fire his defensive coordinator. Kiffin refused, and Davis responded by drawing up a letter of resignation for his head coach to sign. Of course, Lane refused because signing the letter would have meant losing out on his guaranteed salary for the next 2 years. Davis blinked, allowing Kiffin to remain with the team. But word has come out over the weekend that Al has had it with his young coach and is ready to can him as soon as this week, maybe even by Monday. And after all this, the Raiders trounced the Chiefs on Sunday. Poor Lane. But hey, he knew what he was getting himself into when he took the job, right? Other points of interest from the week were focused on the Pats-Jets matchup in the Meadowlands. It was game 1 as a starter for Matt Castle and Brett Favre's first home game as a Jet. Amazingly, this game marked the first start for Castle since his senior year at Chatsworth High, and the kid played pretty darn well. He didn't throw the ball for a ton of yards, but neither did Brady when he stepped in for Bledsoe 7 years ago. With a strong defense, good running game, and no turnovers from the quarterback, this team looked more like a Belichick team than the offensive juggernaut we saw a year ago. And finally, now that we have 2 weeks in the books, a number of teams are sitting at 0-2, and that's never a fun way to start your season. Seattle, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Detroit, Miami, Minnesota, and St. Louis were among the big losers. But most surprisingly of all were the 0-2 starts of San Diego and Jacksonville. Of course, both situations can be chalked up to unfortunate and untimely injuries. The Chargers lost Sean Merriman, and the Jags lost half their offensive line. But these were playoff teams from a year ago, and in reality, every team deals with injuries. Del Rio isn't on any kind of hot seat, not yet. But if Norv Turner tries to start the season with 3 losses again, the fans in San Diego are going to start screaming for the good old days of Marty Ball. At least Schottenheimer knew how to use the best running back in the league. Okay guys, that is it for this week, but don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There you'll find other cool videos like the Backspin, the College Football Week in Review, and Fantasy Lineup. When you do subscribe, be sure to post your comments and questions or send them to srg@thesportsreportgirl.com. And of course, there's always our fan page on Facebook. See you back here next week for another edition of the Pro Football Week in Review.